What draws a nation from the safety of its shores into the heart of a distant, devastating conflict? The year was 1914. Europe was descending into one of its darkest hours. The First World War had erupted, engulfing continents in a clash of empires, ideals, and destinies. But across the vast Atlantic Ocean, the United States stood apart, a young country still defining its place in the world. Its people were wary. The echoes of old European wars felt distant, even irrelevant to many. The Founding Fathers had warned against foreign entanglements. Isolation was America's shield, a protective wall guarding its shores from the chaos across the seas. Yet the storm clouds were gathering, and the winds of war whispered ever closer. By 1917, those whispers would become a roar, and the United States, forced to choose between neutrality and engagement, would take a step that would forever change the course of history. But why? What forces, what events, what decisions pushed the United States into the raging inferno of the Great War? When the first shots rang out in August 1914, President Woodrow Wilson faced an immediate dilemma. The world was hurtling into a conflict unlike any before, a war fought with new machines, new tactics, and unprecedented devastation. Wilson's response was clear and deliberate. The United States would remain neutral. This decision was no accident. It was a reflection of deep national sentiments. America was a nation of immigrants. Millions had family ties to Germany, Britain, France, and other European countries. Divisions ran deep. Some citizens rooted for the Allies, others sympathized with the Central Powers. Above all, there was a strong desire to avoid the tragic losses and horrors of war. Memories of the Civil War's toll were still vivid. Many believed America's destiny was to build, to grow, to prosper, far from the blood-soaked battlefields of Europe. Wilson's repeated assurances he kept us out of war would become a rallying cry for neutrality. But beneath this public posture, a complex dance of economic interests, cultural ties, and geopolitical calculations began quietly. Despite its efficient neutrality, the United States was never truly isolated. American factories hummed with activity, churning out weapons, ammunition, steel, and food. Trade with the Allied powers surged. Britain and France, desperate for supplies, bought American goods with vigor. This economic relationship was not just a matter of commerce, it was a lifeline. American banks extended massive loans to the Allies, investments that tied the American economy to their fate. Behind the scenes, this growing interdependence eroded the walls of neutrality. As ships carried American goods across the Atlantic, the fate of those vessels would become a central battleground in the struggle for control of the seas. The wall beneath the waves was a new kind of terror. Germany, unable to match the British Royal Navy ship for ship, turned to its U-boats, submarines that could lurk unseen beneath the ocean surface. Their mission was ruthless, to strangle Britain's supply lines, starving the island nation into submission. But this campaign came with deadly risks. The seas were no longer safe for neutral shipping. German U-boats sank merchant ships without warning. The most infamous tragedy struck on May 7, 1915, when the RMS Lusitania, a British passenger liner, was torpedoed off the coast of Ireland. Over 1,100 lives were lost, including 128 Americans. The world gasped. In America, outrage surged. The image of innocent civilians, men, women, and children drowned in the cold sea galvanized many against Germany. Wilson's government responded with stern protests demanding an end to unrestricted submarine warfare. Germany, wary of provoking the United States into war, briefly complied. But beneath the surface, the tide was shifting once again. While the oceans boiled, the world of diplomacy simmered with tension and secrets. In early 1917, Germany gambled on a desperate strategy. Its U-boat campaign had faltered under diplomatic pressure, but the war dragged on and the Allies seemed stronger than ever. So Germany decided to renew unrestricted submarine warfare, risking American ire. At the same time, a secret message, destined to alter history, was sent. The Zimmermann telegram. Germany proposed an alliance to Mexico, offering to help Mexico reclaim lost territories: Texas, New Mexico, Arizona. In exchange, Mexico would join the Central Powers and keep America distracted. British intelligence intercepted and decoded the telegram, delivering it to President Wilson. The revelation shocked the nation. Pause for a moment and imagine the atmosphere in America. A proud young nation, thousands of miles from Europe, now facing a direct threat on its doorstep. Neutrality was no longer a shield, but a fragile illusion. The American people asked, could the United States stand aside while foreign powers plotted against its very own soil? Could it afford to watch as the world burned, untouched no longer? The Zimmermann telegram was a spark, but it was not the only fuel. The resumption of unrestricted submarine warfare meant American ships would again be at risk. Wilson's patience thinned. The war, once a distant tragedy, had become a pressing threat. On April 2, 1917, he addressed Congress with solemn urgency.
The world must be made safe for democracy.
The United States declared war on Germany. It was a momentous decision, one that reshaped not only the fate of the war, but the destiny of America itself. But declaring war was only the beginning. How did America prepare for a fight it had never faced before? How did a divided nation rally its people, its industries, and its ideals? In Part 2, we uncover the transformation of the United States, from a neutral bystander to a decisive force that helped end the deadliest war the world had ever seen.